But speaking of disappointing our fans, did you hear about Xbox Live's price hike? Like,
Yeah, what were they thinking?
yeah, I mean, luckily they've U-turned now. Do you know what I mean? And like they put out a statement saying, "Oh, we understand that fans are unhappy with that, and we're now going to make free to play games like free, so you don't need gold." And like
So to break it down,
expecting,
obviously, like Xbox Live, for people who don't know, obviously is a monthly payment that you need to pay to be able to play a game online with your friends.
yeah,
Um, and then they announced that they were going to be upping the price, almost
yes,
doubling it for things like if you were buying like a 6 month pass, it
yeah,
would be like you'd be paying basically what you used to previously pay for the year for 6 months.
yeah,
And then there was a huge internet backlash, and it's been reversed, which is great.
yeah.
But
But
I don't think it
it's
takes away from how shocking it was that they were considering it.
well, this is it. I mean, I think if it wasn't for the like COVID and the pandemic and stuff, I don't even think they would have done it. I think their mind were like, well, what are they going to do? They have to
I
pay it if
think
they
it
want to play with their
was
mates.
I think it was a confluence of things. It was like obviously there was that, there was the massive backlash, and then the fact that, like I say, the consoles aren't even available right now, so that they're still trying to get people to buy those consoles. You're
Yeah,
turning them off from buying it because you're like, well, your competitor's cheaper now.
yeah.
So where's the
Well,
incentive? Your competitor has exclusives and is cheaper.
yeah.
Where's the incentive?
I
Do
mean,
you know
who
what I mean?
who greenlit the idea? Do you know what I mean? That's what I want to know. Like, obviously, we're in board meetings or what have
It's
you. Or,
Xbox. It's that color, isn't it?
yeah,
Green
well,
light everything.
well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, obviously the view turned, which is great, but at the same time, they're like, but also free to play now. You can just play them without the gold, without the subscription. But like PlayStation have done that for like what 3 years now. So I mean,
Yeah,
that's still 3 years behind PlayStation.
yeah. I think it's lame because like I would say I probably prefer Xbox in terms of actually playing on it than PlayStation.
Yeah.
And yeah, I will hold my hands up with that sucks. That was really bad. And
Hmm.
now because once again I can't get an Xbox either. So
Yeah.
now I'm starting to think, should I go PC? Like I'm
Yeah.
actually contemplating PC now.
Yeah, man. I
Like
mean,
actually
that's
hard contemplating, and I haven't done that for a long time.
well,
Because it
this
was
is
always
it.
for me, it was like obviously PC is better, but it was always the case of a PC is a bit it's not as accessible. It's not as straightforward.
Yeah.
You don't just sit on your
Plug in and
couch and
play.
press one button and you start playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you have to turn your computer on, log into your computer, and
Yeah.
hopefully not need to update anything. And
Well,
hopefully the
that's it.
game runs on whatever hardware you've currently got,
Yeah.
not knowing it just will run unless it's Cyberpunk. Because that's the one console game you can guarantee won't run.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, I want to upgrade to PC simply because, well, one, I mean, it's my job, and two,
Yeah,
like, there's so many good games on PC that we don't get on Xbox or PlayStation
yeah.
now, and I mean,
At all.
obviously,
Like
well,
some
that's
just
it.
don't ever come over, do they?
Yeah, no, and I mean, Xbox has the game preview program, and I checked earlier today, and they've got 8 games on it. Like they said, it was going to be like Steam. There's
Yeah.
going to be a plethora of games coming over to it that you can play before they come out, and it's got 8 games on there. Whereas Steam has literally got thousands upon thousands of games that you could click, find, and love, and you can play it quite easily. And I mean, it's one of those games that like is really, really great. But again, because we're on
I mean, one of
console,
the
you
things,
don't get it.
one of the biggest crutches I think for Xbox is that obviously it does backwards compatible well, but I
Hmm.
think nobody mentions that PC does backwards compatible perfect because everything can be ran on a PC. You can like obviously not necessarily legally, but you can play Switch games, you can play
Yeah,
GameCube games, you know what I mean? You can play everything on
yeah.
an emulator, which you
Ooh,
can't do on your console. So yeah, Xbox does do backwards compatible well comparative to
yeah,
PlayStation.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I didn't.
But
I didn't think you'd get
yeah,
a
it's the
Switch
first time.
emulator. Like, I mean, I've got a Switch. I don't need to do that. If you're listening, FBI, but still, like,
There's an everything emulator, you know what I mean? So
yeah. Well,
it's
this is true.
got everything.
But yeah, I mean, just ridiculous. The thought of them even thinking, well, this is a good idea, is just absolutely stupid. And I do think it'll hurt them in the long run because you'll have people who don't have the Xbox say, well, I'm not doing that because what happens if in future they put the price up?
I think I think that the problem this happened with them with the original launch of the Xbox One was when you have negative messaging that comes out, which obviously it did when it was like it always has to be online and always has to be connected.
Yeah.
Um, that the negative news spreads further than positive news.
Well, it does.
So
Yeah.
the fact that they've come back and turned around, that's great, but that won't be getting clicks on news sites. it's nowhere near as interesting to click on. Xbox have said we're going to go back on it. I bet you that gets half as many clicks as a page that says Xbox is up the price. So negative news. So the thing is there'll be people, and it happened with Xbox One, who never find out that they've went back on it.
Yeah.
So the damage is done.
Yeah, well,
and
that's
then
it.
that person's gone. They're going to go to PlayStation when they might not have. Especially if they're up in the air, and especially if they're casual, where like obviously price is a lot more important.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, it's that thing like bad news travels faster, doesn't it? Because it genuinely does. Like you'll hear something like, "Well, that's ridiculous," then you tell somebody else, and then when you hear the good news, you're not like, "Oh, well, I'll go and tell all those people I told." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've definitely done some damage. Like, and I mean, you would have thought from the first Xbox One they would have learned, but they clearly haven't. And I don't understand who's greenlighting it all.
Built so much, they've built so much goodwill recently.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've almost. I mean, it's still Microsoft, but they'd almost become the game company where I was like, they really care about the player and they're really offering you a good like product for price and stuff. And then it's like this one bit of news and everyone's like, fuck them.
Yeah.
back to screw you, Microsoft.
You absolute pieces of crap.
I mean, the argument was that they weren't up in the price of Game Pass Ultimate. So that's Xbox Live to play online plus Game Pass, which is basically like a games rental service essentially.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Netflix of video games, they call it, where there's like 100+ games that you can, for a monthly fee, you can play at any time, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the total price for that wasn't changing. So Xbox Live was just getting close to that price. So the idea was that it was to push people who were just signing up to Xbox Live to get Game Pass, which is obviously really shady because they're basically saying like the Xbox Live online product wasn't getting better. It was just an artificial increase just to push you on the Game Pass.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, I can see them. I see why they're doing it, but also at the same time, it was not a good idea. And I mean, don't get us wrong, Game Pass is brilliant. I mean, there's games on there that I never would have played.
I still think that's the best deal in gaming currently.
Yeah,
that you could go and get a console right now, and then for like 15 quid a month. How much is it in the UK? 12 quid.
I'm sure it's like 10.99. I may be wrong.
10.99.
Yeah.
Well, something like that. For like 10 to 15 quid, you're getting 100 games straight away.
Well,
so you could just go and buy a console and buy Game Pass. And if you're a casual gamer, you're probably set for a long time.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I mean, obviously, when the Xbox exclusives comes out as well, they'll all be on there. So, I mean, they've got some great games coming with like Bethesda games and stuff like that. But I mean, like, is it going to be too little too late now? Or people going to be like, well, I'm not paying that, not understanding, because obviously we're hardcore gamers. We game all the time. Do you know what I mean? And we look for gaming news because that's what we like to do. But those people who are like very casual and they hear the bad news that it's this price, they're not going to go looking to see if it's been changed. They're just going to think, well, I'm going to go to a different
someone literally
console.
Comes out and tells them. That's what, like you say, if they're not looking for it, because you know what I mean? Like I send it to friends going, they're putting the price up with Xbox Live. But then similarly, I have added to the problem, I suppose, because I didn't follow up with those friends going, they've changed their mind. Well, I haven't done that because it's not as interesting, is it?
That's true. It's like clickbait is more attractive to people because they want to hear what this thing is, and then when they find out, oh well, it's not correct, they're not going, oh well, I'll go and tell people. They're just like, oh well, that's it. Do you know what I mean?
In summation, hate is potent.
Yes, well, yes, it is. We had 4 years of it in America. Do you know what I mean? So, political.
Awkward. I didn't realize we were a political podcast now, but
we are now. We're doing politics.
Is potent. Yeah.
And there you go. So, I mean, do you have anything else to add to that other than it was a stupid idea?
No. I'm just glad they reneged on it.
Yeah, same. I mean, it was the quickest U-turn ever. Do you know what I mean?
It was a massive U-turn. This is great. But like, I won't applaud them for it. I won't. No. They don't deserve anything for it.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
In the first place.
Yeah, shady. I mean, if nobody had have said anything, there would have been like, oh well, extra money for Microsoft. Like,
it was just huge negative publicity. All of the websites were backlashing.
Yeah,
all of the content creators were backlashing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, rightly so. It
just shows you there is a hand in it. I mean, like obviously we've seen it recently with things like Halo being pushed back, and obviously the state of Cyberpunk. Like just the players do have a voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if we scream loud enough,
We'll get Dead Rising 5,
Xbox
but a good
Live.
one.
Yeah. Dead Rising 5, please. Instead of Reverse, that's what they should have announced.
Yeah,
Dead
they should
Rising
have.
5 would have
Dead
been a
Rising
dozen.
5, yeah. As long as it's good. Do you know what I mean?
As
There's
long as
none of
it's
this.
good. Just Dead Rising 1, 4K remake. Let's go.
Oh,
With
yeah, man.
co-op.
In the
Oh,
Resi
that's all I
engine,
want.
that would look amazing.
Oh, amazing. The
It would
mall.
look amazing, man. Yeah, so do that.